For example, some may be more liable to heart attacks, others to some sorts of cancer or mental illness. But while the developments will have huge medical significance, there could be problems, like life insurance.
Scientists in this Cambridge laboratory have just found the gene that causes inherited thyroid cancer. The success is the result of 6 years' work by the Cancer Research Campaign team. Scientists believe inheritance may turn out to play an important part in perhaps half of all cancers. Now they think they're near to discovering the gene that causes some breast cancers.
Our group is one of several around the world who are trying to pin down a particular gene which causes breast cancer when it runs in families. And I think that this gene will be found sometime within the next few months or a year. I think it's important to emphasize that we're talking about a very small minority of breast cancer in families where there are several women affected. This is perhaps only 1 or 2%.
So how do you see the potential for genetic testing?
Immediately, I think the potential is fairly limited because it will be restricted to these uncommon families where there are several affected women. It'll be useful in cases where there is an effective screening test or prevention which we can use, and that's certainly so for some cancers.
The scientists are cautious, but in 10 to 20 years it may lead to the prevention of breast cancer in people who have the inherited risk. There's unease at the suggestion that insurance companies will one day use the results of genetic tests on patients to help decide whether to offer them cover or not.
I think the real worry is that up till now, insurance companies and the medical profession have had a common interest in promoting people's health. It's just possible that an element of penalty could creep in if people feel that the insurance companies are going to load them if they have a genetic test, and this might prevent people from taking advantage of the opportunities for screening and prevention, which I think genetic testing will ultimately bring.
But doesn't it seem that in the long term they're going to insist on these tests?
I don't know how it's going to pan out. I hope some sort of reasonable compromise, which is to everybody's advantage, will be reached.
Scientists say that one day it may be possible to do a genetic profile for all genetic disorders, and no one knows the full implications of that.
Tony Scase reporting there. Joining us from our London studio now is Tony Baker from the Association of British Insurers. Mr. Baker, does the development of genetics mean insurance companies may one day insist on people taking full genetic tests before they consider providing cover?
No, it doesn't. There's no plans whatsoever, either immediately or in the medium or long term, for insurance companies to insist on tests. What we do need to know, though, if somebody has had a medical test or in the future a genetic test, we need to know the answer, what happened as a result of the test.
So presumably the normal doctor-patient confidentiality code won't be affected?
No, indeed not. As with all tests, that is very carefully protected.
So what sort of case histories will insurance companies be looking at?
Well, insurance companies are asked various questions on their proposal forms, and if there are any alerts, they ask more detailed questions, or they may ask for a medical. That will continue in the future.
But some insurance companies do provide cover with no questions asked. Is this likely to become a thing of the past, do you think?
Well, no, because no insurance company doesn't ask any questions. Some companies ask very simplified questions, and it's only if an alert results from one of those that they then ask more detailed information. You've got to bear in mind, though, that 95% of people get their insurance cover at the normal rates. Around 4% are rated up, that's paying a little bit more or having a restriction imposed on their policies, and under 1%